Welcome to a new video from the Parts channel. Well, I am going to make a short video, but that I find very interesting, answering a question that you have left me. A person who has problems with the engine of his car, it is a turbo diesel engine. He is mixing the oil with the coolant, but he has realized that there is no pressure in the cooling circuit. And he asks, let's see if the failure, is it sure that it is from the oil water cooler? There is, in more than 80% of the cases, the failure, in fact, usually comes from the cooler. As I say, when there is no pressure in the circuit. But it can also happen that there is no pressure and the failure is not from the oil water cooler, I explain. Here you see this is an engine block. On top of the engine block would be the head gasket, and on top would be the head, well, this part here, in this block, on this side. The oil circulates. These others holes that you see here. Through these holes, the coolant circulates, which cools the engine. And the holes that are round, as you already know, in these round holes are where the bolts go, which fix the cylinder head to the engine block. Well, several things can happen there. First, that there is a crack in the cylinder head and the oil joins with the coolant. In this case, there would be no pressure and it would give the same symptoms as if it were a failure of the cooler. It would be necessary to do a pressure test on the cooler. The first thing that is done is to dismantle the cooler and do a pressure test to check if the failure is with the cooler. Because it can also happen that it is a cylinder head problem, as it can also be a problem with the head gasket, which has lifted, the head gasket has lifted a little, or a crack has occurred, and then the coolant liquid comes into contact with the oil. If the crack is larger, then oil and coolant would come together, and it would reach the combustion chamber. That is when you see that there is pressure in the cooling circuit, in addition to oil in the circuit. It can also happen that there is simply a crack here, and that the coolant reaches the combustion chamber, and then there would be no oil. But if you are going to see that there is pressure in the cooling circuit, and then you already know that you have a problem. Normally with the head gasket, but it can also be a crack in the head. Therefore, if when we check that the cooler is not failing, the cylinder head should be checked to see that it does not have a crack and that the problem is simply the head gasket. Well, here you have this short video. If it has been useful to you, then don't forget to give a like and subscribe to the channel.